So when the movie Titanic came out, I was at the perfect age that I was old enough to watch the movie, but I was young enough that I didn't have to pay for it, and I could get my parents to drive me to the movie theater over and over and pay for my fare and spend way too many hours watching this very, very long movie. And I was obsessed with it, and so was everybody else at my elementary school because I remember this wasn't even in Quebec, where Celine Dion is from. This is in Southern California. And there was a school variety show, like there was every year. And every single musical number that year was My Heart Will Go On. Every single one. So, if you grew up with this like I did, you probably know this tune really, really well. And also, if you're a Highland Piper, you've probably noticed that it's recorded on uilleann pipes, whistle, and voice, and just like such a beautiful melody. The uilleann pipes, when they break up into that higher register, such a sweet sound, and you know, like all pipes, it gets you right there. So the thing is about uilleann pipe music is it often doesn't transpose perfectly onto the Highland pipes. Uilleann pipes have more accidentals that we can achieve. Uilleann pipes have a wider range of like jumping the octave that they can do, so do whistle. So then as Highland pipers, how do we adapt this uilleann pipe melody onto our Highland pipe range? One of the adaptations I've made is playing a high G sharp. If the G sharp doesn't work for you or doesn't work for your chanter, stick with the G natural. It works just as well. I've also set the ornamentation to it to be typical Highland pipe ornamentation, grips, doublings, throws, that kind of thing. But, I mean, the ornamentation on the original uilleann pipe recording, on the original whistle recording too, is stuff that we can generally play. So if you're interested in that kind of ornamentation, you can go find uilleann pipe scores, Google like the piano scores or the whistle scores for it online, and they won't be in our key in amixolydian, but I have recently come up with this handy transposer for bagpipers, which if you're interested in that, the PDF for it is on my Patreon. If you become a subscriber, you can get the PDF, download it, print it out, cut it out, make it yourself. So another tutorial on how to do that coming up soon. And last but not least, the other change I've made is I've taken bars 3 and 4, and I've taken bars 14 and 15, and I've bumped them up. Bar 3 would go down to a low F sharp, a low D, F sharp, low E. And at first I thought the obvious solution is to make that low F sharp a regular F sharp, make the low D a regular D. But the reason I didn't do that is because I've noticed with like Auld Lang Syne, when people play Auld Lang Syne in the key of D, it needs a high B. But for lack of high B, we bump it down to a regular B, and it loses this peak, this high point in the melody. Danny Boy is another great example. Same thing. The second part, it would need to go up to a high C sharp, but then when we bump it down to a low C sharp, when we do what's called octave displacement, it loses the contour, it loses the shape, it loses these high points or low points depending. So instead of making it a regular F sharp, because in the second line there is an F sharp, and that's sort of a peak in the first two lines, and I wanted to reserve that high point for later. So instead I changed the F sharp to a D. It still outlines a 4 chord, it's still outlining the D chord, which is the chord in that point in the harmonic progression, and it still reserves that contour and that gesture. Anyway, I've talked enough about how, why I did what I did and all these things I think about when I'm arranging a piece of music. Let's carry on with the playthrough. 1, 2. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts of how you would arrange the melody different, or if you've come up with your own version, please post it below. I'd love to hear about it. And an extra thanks to Trailheads for suggesting this one as a subscriber on my Patreon. As an extra bonus, if you subscribe, I'll give you a shout out and I'll take your requests for new tutorials. So cheers. Happy practicing.